Hey guys, welcome back to Ace Recaps. Today I'm going to be explaining a 2023 Spanish horror thriller film titled Nowhere. In the not-so-distant future, Europe faces a devastating crisis, with people struggling to obtain even the most basic necessities. In response, a new regime comes into power, opting to address resource scarcity by resorting to the extermination of individuals. Initially, the elderly are targeted, followed by pregnant women and children. Nevertheless, certain countries, such as Ireland, Iceland, and Norway, stand in opposition to this brutal regime, offering refuge to those seeking safety. Among these refugees are Nico and his pregnant wife, Mia. One fateful night, a smuggler guides them to a local harbor where they navigate a labyrinth of containers in their quest for escape. Their path is hindered momentarily by a vigilant dog, prompting them to change course and remain hidden from patrolling helicopters. They overhear the police apprehending some fleeing individuals but successfully evade capture. However, they encounter another smuggler who demands additional payment, forcing them to give up their wedding rings. Subsequently, the couple boards the back of a truck along with a group of women and their children, even a dog. Mia, worried about her baby, uncovers her belly, becoming anxious as she hasn't felt the child move recently. Nico reassures her, showing her where the baby's foot usually kicks. As a small celebratory gesture for their impending arrival in Ireland, Nico shares a Snickers bar he's been saving. An empathetic refugee uses a drill to create a hole in the truck, allowing light to filter in. Mia observes the other children and grapples with guilt for leaving their first child behind. Nico reminds her that their first child was taken by soldiers, likely meaning she didn't survive. After a few hours of travel, the truck halts to pick up more refugees. The situation becomes overcrowded, prompting the smuggler to suggest dividing the group, leaving women and children in their current truck while men relocate to another vehicle. Nico attempts to explain their prior inclusion in the truck but is disregarded and separated from Mia. The doors are sealed, and Mia helplessly watches her husband being taken away. She uses her phone to contact Nico, and he assures her they are still heading in the same direction, planning to reunite later. For the time being, she must conserve her phone's battery and watch over their belongings. While the truck continues its journey, Mia witnesses a world marred by violence outside her peephole. Soldiers ruthlessly quell riots, and women are gathered into cages like livestock. The truck eventually stops at a checkpoint, prompting all the women to hide in the rear. The driver presents papers claiming to transport cargo, but the soldiers decide to inspect the truck despite the initial appearance of only a few boxes. The refugees are concealed behind a false wall. However, the leader grows suspicious and instructs one of his men to venture inside and fire shots into the sidewall. By measuring the difference in distance, the leader detects the hidden compartment and orders the women to step outside. Fearful of their fate, Mia climbs on top of the crates. Just before one of the women opens the false wall, the leader abruptly kills her, and the soldiers open fire, indiscriminately killing everyone. Mia is left covered in their blood. By the end, only a dog and a young child remain standing. The dog escapes, but the soldiers ensure the child's demise. Once the soldiers leave, Mia weeps and sends a message to Nico, urging him to hide. Hours later, the truck reaches another harbor, and the container is loaded onto a ship. Mia attempts to call Nico, but her phone is damaged and unresponsive. She leaves another message informing Nico that the ship is carrying her away. She then assesses her belongings, turns on a light, and eventually falls asleep. Later, Mia awakens as the container starts to shake, and she can see through bullet holes that the sailors are in a frenzy due to a violent storm. Mia screams for help as the turbulence throws her around and causes injuries. A sudden impact knocks her unconscious. When Mia regains consciousness, she discovers water seeping into the container through the holes. Gazing outside, she realizes the ship has sunk, and all the containers, including hers, are adrift in the middle of the sea. Panic sets in, and she tries to contact Nico, but her phone is shattered. She attempts to use another phone she had in her bag but can't remember the password to unlock it. After confirming that the baby is okay, Mia notices the water continuing to rise inside the container. She starts searching through the crates for something to help. Unfortunately, she finds items like plastic containers, televisions, alcohol, and earbuds. Among the discoveries, she locates a stack of hoodies and dons one of them. After inspecting her surroundings, she begins collecting the items that fell from her bag, including tape and a Swiss Army knife. Using the tape, she tries to slow the water's infiltration and uncovers her diary, finding solace in a photograph of her family. However, her peace is interrupted by distant screams, and she witnesses a container slowly sinking with people inside. Desperation engulfs Mia as she screams for Nico and inserts her SIM card into the working phone. Regrettably, Nico doesn't answer, and the container sinks, prompting Mia to endure a breakdown that lasts for several hours. Despite her repeated attempts, she is unable to contact Nico through the phone. As night falls, she contemplates ending her life, even picking up a knife, but a movement from the baby inside her prompts her to choose life. She decides to sleep while listening to the songs of nearby whales. Outside, Mia notices a hanging crate shaking and manages to move out of its way just before it falls. Nevertheless, this action accelerates the water's entry into the container. Mia fears she is about to drown, but she awakens from what was merely a nightmare. Upon realizing that the tape has come off and the water is rising, Mia places a crate under the hanging one and releases it with her knife, discovering even more plastic containers beneath. While initially frustrated, these containers inspire an idea. She removes the rubber from their lids and uses it to seal the lower holes. She also finds a hose in one of the crates, allowing her to drain the water through another hole. She arranges 2 crates against the wall to create a resting place and marks the water levels with tape, counting down the days until the water reaches a critical point. Mia makes another unsuccessful attempt to use the phone. In her resourceful efforts, she utilizes wires from the earbuds to hang and dry the photographs from her diary. She assesses her supplies, ensuring she rations her water and food correctly. She discovers that a drill and a lighter, left by other individuals, are still functional. Suddenly, Mia's phone rings from an unknown number, and Nico is on the line. He couldn't answer earlier because his battery had died, and he's alive because they were deceived by the other driver who left them outside the city instead of taking them to the harbor. Mia shares her experiences with him, and Nico promises to rescue her. For now, she must conserve the phone's battery and continue to survive for the sake of their child. Mia experiences a contraction and pleads with the baby to wait a little longer. She takes a bite of her sandwich and rearranges the crates, but boredom soon takes over. She notices an approaching storm, leading to another contraction. Although she hopes it's a false alarm, she is proven wrong when the storm arrives, causing the container to shake. Mia endures excruciating pain as water starts to flood the container once more. Her phone rings, but it slips from her hand as she attempts to answer. Mia removes her dress and clings to the crate's ropes, giving birth to the baby in the water. She quickly removes the umbilical cord from around the baby's neck and pats the baby's back until she cries. Mia then positions herself on top of a crate, holding onto the child and waiting for the storm to pass. The following morning, Mia senses the placenta coming out of her body and places it in a plastic container. After tidying up as much as possible, she puts the baby in a small box with a hoodie. While checking her belongings, she consumes some canned food. However, the phone is water damaged and unusable. Adding to her troubles, the baby won't stop crying, and Mia's attempts to breastfeed her are futile. When Mia hears the container's metal squeaking, she has an idea. She uses the drill to create holes in the ceiling, hoping to cut an escape route. Regrettably, the noise intensifies the baby's crying. Despite her efforts to calm her with singing, the baby remains inconsolable, and Mia loses her temper momentarily. She quickly apologizes when she realizes her outburst. A little later, Mia experiences a letdown, and this time, milk flows, allowing the baby to finally feed. As exhaustion takes hold, Mia can't resist finishing all the food she has. She resumes drilling the ceiling but is thwarted when the drill's battery runs out. She inserts the SIM card back into her original phone, but it remains unresponsive. Frustration mounts, and Mia vents her anger by tossing her belongings. When she finds the knife, she attempts to use it on the ceiling holes, causing discomfort in her hands. With time passing, Mia's activities are limited to caring for the baby, occasionally dampening the child's skin to mitigate the heat. Sleeping is a challenge due to her growling stomach and the lack of food. Ultimately, desperation compels Mia to eat her own placenta. Suddenly, the sound of whales outside reaches Mia's ears. When she looks out, a whale strikes the container, causing the baby to cry again. In response, Mia pounds the container walls, scaring the whale away. The following day, Mia attempts to use the knife on the holes once more, but the knife snaps. Her phone remains unresponsive, forcing her to consume the last of her clean water. The scorching heat leaves her feeling dizzy, and in an attempt to cool down, Mia splashes seawater on herself. Subsequently, she resorts to licking water droplets from the ceiling, a decision that unfortunately results in her feeling unwell. Within a few minutes, her dizziness worsens, and Mia suddenly observes a paper plane landing on her legs. In that instant, the specter of her first daughter materializes, accusing her mother for her demise at the hands of the soldiers. Mia weeps as Nico also appears beside her, offering a reminder that it wasn't her fault. Upon awakening from this unsettling dream, Mia finds herself in improved spirits, as rain finally pours through the holes, providing her with a source of water. Mia takes care to hydrate herself and collects as much rainwater as possible in the plastic containers. She also seizes a can, but when its lid breaks, she is struck by an idea. The rope from the crates is put through the holes in the ceiling, and Mia starts pulling down until she finally gets to open a hole that allows the sunlight inside. Subsequently, Mia ascends to the container's roof to confirm there's no sight of land. She and the baby choose to sleep there to benefit from the fresh air. When it's time for a change, Mia discards the soiled hoodie into the water. This act attracts a school of fish, prompting Mia to hastily grab some rope and a piece of metal to attempt fishing. Despite her best efforts, she struggles to catch a single fish. Frustrated, Mia spots a passing plane and rushes back into the container to break a television, acquiring a piece of its screen. However, in her haste, she accidentally injures her leg. Disregarding the pain for the time being, she uses the screen fragment to reflect sunlight in the hopes of attracting the plane's attention. Regrettably, the plane fails to spot her and departs. Disappointed, Mia retreats into the container and employs wires and small metal pieces to stitch her wound. The painful process prompts her to utilize alcohol to alleviate the discomfort. Afterwards, she notices the abundance of earbuds and conceives another idea. Using the wires, she fashions a makeshift net. Once complete, she casts it into the sea with a soiled cloth, successfully capturing some fish, which she consumes raw over the following days. Mia perseveres in her struggle for survival. She continues to remove water from the container using the hose and successfully catches fish with the net, storing them in plastic containers. She also utilizes paper sheets from her diary to write numerous SOS notes, which she places inside containers, casting them into the sea in the hope that someone will find them. One afternoon, Mia introduces her baby to the family photos and decides to name the child Noah, after her grandmother, in accordance with Nico's wishes. She also shows the child a picture of her sister, recounting the story of how the soldiers took her and how she continues to blame herself for it. Later in the evening, Mia senses that Noah is getting cold, prompting her to use alcohol and a lighter to start a fire. In the middle of the night, Mia hears a noise against the container's wall, only to discover that it's caused by a plastic container. At that moment, her phone rings, and she is elated to hear Nico's voice. However, his message is dire. He attempted to steal a boat but was spotted by soldiers and shot. Currently, he is in hiding, slowly bleeding out with limited time left. Nico calls to bid farewell and implores Mia to promise that she will survive. Consequently, Mia places the phone next to Noah so that he can listen to Nico's voice and the baby's soothing sounds. After Mia and Nico exchange their declarations of love, her phone's battery dies, and the wind extinguishes the fire. As Mia weeps, it is revealed that she still possesses the Snickers bar, which she has been saving for the end of her journey. On day 26, Mia is on the brink of losing hope. The container's walls are covered with drawings and rants on paper sheets, and it is perilously close to reaching the water's limit. Mia and the baby are now residing on top of the container. Mia utilizes crate wood, plastic containers, and rope to construct a makeshift raft. Later in the evening, Mia hears a noise within the container, and realizes it will soon sink. In a desperate attempt to retrieve her pictures, she ventures inside and spots the Snickers bar inside a plastic container. Despite the risk, she proceeds further inside to retrieve it. As the water pushes the raft, Mia's foot becomes entangled with some rope, and she struggles to avoid drowning. With a piece of metal, she eventually manages to cut the rope and hastily swims out of the container just before it sinks. Upon reaching the surface, Mia is horrified to discover that she cannot see Noah. At that moment, a whale passes by and drenches Noah, prompting her to cry. Now, Mia can follow the direction of the noise and reunite with her daughter. The following morning, while they drift aimlessly, Mia opens a plastic container and releases some fish, hoping to attract some birds. Soon, a flock of seagulls hovers above them, catching the attention of a nearby boat. The sailors steer their boat towards the seagulls and rescue the small raft, finding Noah inside, alive and well. A rope is dangling from the raft, and the sailors begin pulling it. Mia's body emerges, and the sailors immediately administer CPR. After several rounds of chest compressions, Mia finally responds, and the sailors hand the baby to her. They use the radio to call for help. It takes Mia a moment to realize that she is safe, and when she gazes at the horizon, she sees they are approaching Ireland, signifying the new beginning she had longed for. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.